So ever since the release of Chapter 1, the manga, back in March of 2019, Spy Family has entertained a whole lot of people worldwide. And whether you are a manga fan or an anime fan, you have enjoyed the unique form of entertainment that this franchise provides in terms of comedy, wholesome drama, and action-adventure. And though the anime is very, very faithful to the manga, there are subtle differences which makes each of these forms of entertainment quite unique. I have talked about this in the past, but the manga is extremely efficient in its storytelling, and because of that, it does very well in its pacing and its comedy. Whereas the anime takes a very elaborate route because of its advantage of being able to provide voice, animation, and music to provide an extremely deep, empathic feeling in many of these dramatic moments. And so, even though these are very similar in story, they do have a unique characteristic. And in the past, I have often compared the two, and in certain situations, I have found the manga more entertaining or the anime more entertaining, depending upon the specific story that was being told. But for episode 21, I have to admit, this is one of those types of episodes where you are very happy that you are experiencing both the manga and the anime for the unique nature that each one of these mediums brings actually adds to combine an even greater entertainment overall. And so episode 21 came out yesterday, and with it introduced a whole new character. And this support character is quite important to the story. I would say that next to Frankie and Yuri, this character became probably the most prominent support character in this series. Her name is Fiona Frost, and she turns out to be not only an agent of the WISE organization, but a former subordinate and pupil of Agent Twilight. And in the beginning, when we see her, we find out that she is quite the character. She seems to be extremely self-centered and very much set in her ways of getting whatever she wants. And because of that, it stirs up a certain emotion amongst the audience. And I have seen many viewers who found her to be less than likable, to the point of being very irritated by her. And it really does show the strength of, once again, the storytelling, because the reaction that the audience gives was exactly the reaction I feel Tatsuya Endo wanted to bring out for this particular character. Because it sets up the character very well for what happens later on in this story. This story is very interesting in that it gives the viewer a tremendous change in how they feel about this character and their overall feelings towards this episode as one goes down this episode. In the beginning, you are actually quite irritated because of this character. First of all, because of her extremely no-nonsense aggressive attitude that doesn't seem to care about whatever is important to anybody else and only cares about her objective, to later on, it gets extremely aggravating to see because of the conversation that she has with Yor. And of course, the objective that we hear at this time is that it seems like Fiona Frost, also known as Agent Nightfall, is almost challenging Agent Twilight for the top position in the WISE organization. Or at least that's what we think in the beginning. And we're not really sure because it seems that Agent Nightfall feels Operation Strix will be better if she was the wife rather than Yor. And because of that, she goes and visits Yor, and the conversation that they have at that time angers a lot of people who watch this episode. If you want to see, go see any of the reactors out there. There's a tremendous amount of hate focused towards this character. Now, why I say this sets it up really well for what happens later is, once again, this episode is unique in that it goes through tremendous different emotions. So what was originally extreme amounts of anger sets it up for what happens later that turns out to be outrageously hilarious. And in the beginning, I felt that the manga did that hilarious reveal better because it was so blunt in your face. It was a full page spread of what Fiona was actually feeling when Anya read her mind. And when I saw that subtle reveal happen in the anime, I originally thought, what, that's it? That doesn't give you that in-your-face sudden shift that made it really hilarious until Anya rubbed her eyes and looked again. And my gosh, the scene that you see in the anime is so well done and so appropriate and so different from what you were expecting that even though I read the manga, I really had to laugh when I saw that part in the anime. It was really well done. Good job to the animators and to the director. And of course to the voice actress who portrayed Fiona. Now the voice actress for Fiona Frost is a veteran actress named Sakura Ayane. She has been in the anime industry for a really long time and has done a whole bunch of different roles. Some of the more notable ones are Uraraka Ochako from Boku no Hero Academia or My Hero Academia, Solution Epsilon from Overlord, and Gabby Brown from Attack on Titan or Shingeki no Kyojin. And I feel that the director has chosen appropriately for this particular role because it plays well against the role and the voice acting of Yor Forger. Yor Forger is a very naive character outside of her assassin position, and the voice acting that is done is so light and sweet and wholesome that it really shows the naivety that comes out in that character very well, whereas Sakura Ayane's voice is much more direct, much more aggressive, and much stronger, and it works really well for somebody who has much greater confidence and much more aggressive attitude that you expect to see from Fiona Frost. And when you combine the two, the difference between them enhances each other's character when they are talking to each other. And you could see that in the reactions to the episode when the anger of these people were amplified due to the aggressive nature of Fiona, who was challenging Yor as being a competent wife and mother. And that voice acting, I felt, did a fantastic job in enhancing that anger by the audience. You know, of course, when that voice is then combined with that one scene where she goes completely nutso over Lloyd, it was really, really well done as a point of sarcasm. And of course, it continues to go on because there is that weird contrast that you see between her trying to be confident and the wacky situation that happens during the conversations that they have as a family in the living room, right? And of course, once again, I am very happy that I saw both the manga and the anime because the manga gave some really hilarious moments, but there were certain parts in the anime that I felt was really, really well enhanced. One of them was when Fiona criticizes how Yor is taking care of Anya and feeling that she should be more strict in the mistakes that Anya makes. And of course, it was funny in the manga, but that scene that you see in the anime made me laugh so hard. And it's funny because a lot of people who like Anya were extremely angry at that scene, but I had to laugh because this is just showing just how ridiculous the views that Fiona has in this situation are. She's supposed to be a very well-controlled person, and her views are going right out the window. And you see that even more so, of course, during that weird dreamlike sequence after that weird reveal, where you see Fiona going through her view of what the family would be like if she was the mom, right? And to be honest, that dream view is right up there with what Boa Hancock often sees about her relationship with Luffy if you ever saw the series One Piece. It's just ridiculous. And there was that one part where Lloyd, of course, gets so enamored by Fiona that she says, Yor is useless, and you see Yor running away, crying. I just had to laugh again. Not because Yor is hurt, but because of the ridiculous nature of just what is going on in this competent agent's mind with regards to this relationship. And when this anime elaborated on certain points, I just had to laugh. And then you see just how good this anime is when they show the final parts. And you start understanding the character of Fiona Frost. Yes, she is annoying. Yes, she is aggressive. Yes, you tend to not like her because of the things that she does. But you realize through the back vision of her relationship with Agent Twilight and the things that she says later on in the story, that she is the way she is because she is the product of Twilight's training. And it gives you a very interesting view. First of all, yes, nobody knows Twilight better than Fiona. But of course, she doesn't know Lloyd. And that gives you the understanding that Lloyd has changed between the very first episode and now due to the family. And in fact, if it was Agent Twilight, the original one that watched Lloyd, he himself might say the same criticisms that Fiona does, because Fiona is a representation of what Lloyd was like in the past. The personality that Fiona represents is very much the personality of the one who broke up with that girl after using her in the very first episode by Agent Twilight and telling her that she is a complete ignorant person. And that is a comment that you see from Agent Twilight, pre-Lloyd, and that is the type of personality that you see in Fiona. So if you think about it, yes, you may not like Fiona, but Fiona is very much what Agent Twilight was before the Spy Family series began. And you start understanding that she has had a very close relationship with Agent Twilight. She is enamored by Agent Twilight. And why she is upset is because she has worked so hard to get approval from Agent Twilight, and yet Twilight has changed to Lloyd. And that is something that she has a hard time accepting. But at the same time, she knows Agent Twilight so much that as much as it hurts her to say this, Agent Twilight has become Lloyd, and Lloyd is enjoying his relationship with the family. And that small bit of truth that comes out through the fake smile, as she calls it, is a very, very strong statement about how Lloyd has changed. And the only one who really sees it is Fiona, because she knows Twilight so well. And then when you combine it with what she shows later on, the sadness that you see in Fiona really is well amplified in this anime. I felt that scene very much in the manga, but not the way I did in the anime. And what was interesting is even the reactors who seriously hated Fiona throughout this entire episode really felt for her at the very end. It may not have been enough to stop hating her, but they really did start understanding where she stood. And even though she told Lloyd that he was getting soft, that was actually an honest statement, because if it was Agent Twilight who was standing in front of Lloyd, the old one, he would have made the same criticism. Lloyd is changing, and because of that, he is no longer the Twilight that Fiona remembers. And so this anime really did a wonderful job of emphasizing how well the story was in bringing out the character of Fiona, revealing the changes of Twilight, and understanding the overall bonding of the family. And they did it in a manner that was absolutely hilarious. And so I really, really enjoyed this episode. And just when I thought that it couldn't get any better, we got the second part of the story. Now, the second part of the story is, again, one of those author-written fillers. It's called Short Mission 3. And it's, of course, the tense relationship that we see between Anya and Bond. And I won't go into it too much in detail. You should go see the episode if you want to see that part. But what's interesting is in the manga, it was a fun episode, but I didn't particularly feel it to be a really emotional episode. And good job to the anime in really bringing out the feeling that both Bond has for Anya and vice versa. And the ending of that part of the story was really, really well done. Good job to the voice actress for Anya, because she really did a wonderful job in making that scene very sentimental. So this ended up being a very sentimental episode, which is something that I didn't really expect reading the manga. The manga was hilarious. There were some reveals. It was a good plot opening, but I didn't expect it to be so emotional the way you saw it in this episode. And so this is one of those situations where you're absolutely happy that there is both a manga and an anime to enjoy, because the two of them together really bring a very strong combination that enhances the story really well. And of course, this will continue on because what we see in the trailer for the next episode shows that Fiona Frost or Agent Nightfall will be out again in a mission with Lloyd or Agent Twilight. And as mentioned in my last episode discussion, it is a fairly long story, and so it may cover about 3 episodes. And we have 4 episodes left, so maybe this one will end with 1 episode remaining. And it'll be interesting to see which episode they will choose as the last one. If they continue on with the chronology of the manga, then yeah, it will be very enjoyable, the last one. And I'll only say it as one small explanation as the Vogue Anya episode. But it may end with yet another author-written filler the way they did with the first part of Season 1. And if that is the way they go, then I hope they do the one where Yor gets shot in the butt. I'm still waiting for that one to come out because that was such a hilarious episode. But in either case, I will be happy with either. And I will definitely be looking forward to the remaining part of the story, and especially the ending of the next arc. But in any case, that is the discussion for episode 21 of Spy Family the anime. If you saw it, what do you think about it? Especially if you saw it and have read the manga. How do you feel about it compared with the manga? Any comments that you can leave will be greatly appreciated. And once the next episode comes out, I'll bring out another video and hope you join me at that time. But until then, happy anime watching, and as always, Jaya, nice day everyone.